Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Pod Save Chocolate. My name is Clay Gordon today, and this is the first episode of Pod Save Chocolate in about 2 weeks. I was traveling, and if you are a regular visitor to the Chocolate Life or you're a premium member, what you would have seen is a number of posts about my visit. There have been four in all. I was pretty busy, and today I am going to be talking about that trip, which is my trip to New York City. I was there primarily for the Salon du Chocolat, but while I was there, I took a number of business meetings and then had a couple of days to do some walking around New York City. And I wanted to share with you in this format a large part of what it is that I saw while I was gone. If you're a New Yorker or you're planning a trip to New York City, Manhattan specifically, you might want to pay close attention because there's a lot of stuff here you may not have known about. And you will know now. But before we begin this episode of Pod Safe Chocolate, like every episode of Pod Safe Chocolate, is sponsored by the members of the Chocolate Life. If you are not currently a member, and here's the post for today, you can go to the homepage of the Chocolate Life, click on a little button up here, join, and you can become a member of the Chocolate Life and support the work that I do here. There's always a free membership, but if you do have the resources, there are also premium membership options where you can gain consulting hours, or coaching hours, depending on what you want. But let's get past all of that, and also remind people that wherever you're listening from, go into the comments and let me know where in the world you are, where you're connecting from. I will get the shout out. And then at any point during the episode, you can ask a question, leave a comment, and I will again get it up on screen and I will talk about it. So here's the episode. Here's the post for today's episode. It's Chocolate New York City 2025, some post-trip musings. There's a companion post which is separate from this live stream. And we'll be going back and forth between the two of them. So on the post for today's episode, what you'll do is you'll find the links to watch the archive or watch live, and then an overview. And then there's a sort of run of show, the order in which I am going to cover things. And so I wanted to talk about the writing that I did about the salon before I started, if you're interested. Also, my trip report, part two, which talked about the time I spent at the salon. And so this is covers the time that I was there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, who I met, and some thoughts. So photographs of the people that I met, many of whom I already know, some of the special exhibits that were there, just a whole bunch of photographs. So you can get a sense for what I thought about the Salon du Chocolat. I have been to every single chocolat from 1998 through 2012, then 2019, and again this year in 2025. I don't want to spend huge amounts of time going over that, but I did want to point to this post, and so you can get a sense for what it is going on. And if I seem distracted, it's been 3 weeks. I missed 3 episodes. It's been a while, and believe it or not, you get out of practice, and so I find myself I'll get better as the course of the episode goes. So part one of this was about the salon, the show reflections. So mostly two posts, so I don't spend too much time talking about it here. If you have any questions about it, you can put it in the comments today's post. Happy to answer it. I mean, the basic overview is, there are a lot of challenges associated with this year's Salon du Chocolat. So 2012 was interrupted by Hurricane Sandy. After 2019, we had COVID. There is a new production company that's involved in this. And so there are lots of channels, lots of ways, lots of challenges, lots of ways that this could have gone really, really wrong. I think from, you can nitpick it, as an attendee. Did you find the mix of exhibitors to your liking? Were there enough exhibitors to your liking? There also, as an exhibitor, were there enough attendees? Were there too many exhibitors? We can nitpick everything, but I think that overall, the sensibility I get is that this was a good first show for this production company, Messe Frankfurt USA, who owns the franchise here in the United States. And for the second show since 2012, so 2012 was the last show, 2019. It's been a long time, so it's going to take a while to get into the groove. And I think that given everything, again, that could have gone wrong, this was a really, 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 really well put together show. So I want to talk about a couple of bars and a couple of things that I found before I go into the rest of it. So these are some more things I found at the salon, which I thought I really wanted to talk about, and I've got some things to taste. The first one was this company, Ayatica. So for me, this was the outstanding surprise at the show. It's a small company. They're located in Haiti. They call themselves Roots to Bar because they've begun by going to the gene banks in Haiti and selecting the stock that they're going to be planting. And they're doing something which is really, really interesting, which is to deliberately blend, this says Amelinado and Criollo. So they are deliberately blending two different genetics, which are grown separately. It's a 70% dark chocolate. They've got the location of the farms on the back of the bar. This, and then another one here, which is, again, a two genetics bar. So Contamina and Amelinado with guava, also a 70% bar. Both of these bars have been awarded in the AVPA, the Agence Valorisation de Produits Agricoles. They have a chocolate competition. I will link to previous AVPA episodes that I've done if you'd like to learn a little bit more about the AVPA. And so this one, the guava bar, won a gold in 2023 and a silver in the 2024. I mean, just spectacularly well crafted. And really, I think, ingenious in the way they've mixed the different genetics. So you get, what you think of as the Criollo notes, but there's a dominant Amelinado base. That's straightforward chocolate with something on top of it, which can be attributed to the Criollo. And impeccably well made. This is probably the best bar that I have ever had, made by a Haitian producer in Haiti using beans grown in Haiti. It's just spectacular. Not in distribution yet in the United States. I'm reaching back. I'm putting my bars on a table behind me. Not yet in distribution in the United States. I think they deserve to be in distribution, and I'm going to follow them and let you know about them. So I'm going to try to arrange to have an online tasting. I haven't confirmed it, so I'm going to save those bars for a little while before I go do a tasting. Another thing that I want to talk about, which I didn't mention, was Wiseman House. So I've known Kevin Wiseman probably since the second year of the Dallas Chocolate Festival, which took place in Addison, which is a northern suburb. He was there with just two products, one of which was an almond butter crunch. And then he had this, which is one more slice with the scissors, which is a chocolate covered toffee with pecans. So anybody who knows me knows that I think pecan is an underutilized nut. And I don't understand why more American chocolate makers don't use it. It is a nut which is indigenous to the Americas, unlike hazelnuts, unlike walnuts, unlike peanuts. And Maybe you can hear the crunch. Mm. The balance of the chocolate with the sweetness, the nuttiness from the pecans. If you like butter crunch and you're looking for something which is different from a butter crunch, which is covered in chocolate and then rolled in crushed almonds, then I think that Wiseman House in Texas um, deserves consideration. You should definitely go and look at it if it's something that you're interested in. Another company which I think was really interesting was this company called Omnia. They call themselves a luxury Belgian chocolate company, but all of the product, even though they're located here in the United States, all the product that they sell comes from Lebanon, right? And excuse me. And one of the things which I was really happy to see was a big box of chocolate covered dates. I'm a huge fan of chocolate covered dates. This is a box of 4 different varieties. So dates, medjool, almost certainly, 4 different ways of decorating. So a plain milk covering, a plain dark covering, then a white with drizzle, and I think it was a milk with dark drizzle. And then 2 of the 4 were stuffed with almonds. And if you like chocolate covered dates and you're looking for a nice presentation package, these people do it very, very well. I mean, I mean, as I mentioned in the post, I would have had to purchase an extra piece of luggage and check it in order to bring all the chocolate home with me. And so I didn't bring all the chocolate home with me. So I had the fortune of being able to visit with friends and colleagues and family in the week after the show before I returned. And so I shared a lot with them, and anything that I couldn't fit in my luggage, I made sure to share so that I could enjoy it and get opinions from people. And the dates were well received by everyone. If you like dates, this is another piece. It's a chocolate shell. It's got some pecans on the top of it. I haven't opened everything. There's some caramel in there. There's a biscuit base. So the texture is what I'm going through. So we have the texture of the caramel and the texture of the pecans. The flavor of the pecan just shines through. If you like pecans, I love pecans. If you're looking for a bite-sized piece, this is again from Omnia. Something to consider. I have another piece. It reminded me a little bit, of a candy bar here, just a chunky bar. I mean, it looks like that. I didn't. It was just, samples were given to me. It looks like it's filled with it's not. It may be a pistachio paste, but I'm not entirely sure. It's certainly not a quote unquote Dubai bar, but just the balance of the thickness of the shell, the creaminess of the nut filling, really, really nice. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to those two exhibitors at the salon, and products that were small enough for me to bring back and to share with you. So Wiseman House and Omnia. Now, I also got a chance to meet with the people from Chocolat. People may remember that when I did a preview show here, that they were guests on that podcast, that live stream. So I got a chance to meet them. Just was really, really lovely. They were one of the first stands you could see when you walked in, to the left of the entry. And for some reason, they bought a white long hair rug, which remarkably kept clean the entire time, or remarkably clean the entire time, and was shedding little bits of white carpet all over the floor. It was just, it set itself apart. Now, the packaging on this is really well. If you're looking for a high-end gifting product where the package is important, and you can sort of see some of that packaging, I'll let the carousel go. Right, really, really well done. I mean, this is a heavy box. It's a hefty box, and it's got a nice ribbon wrapped around it. I was given a small mixed assortment box of bonbons. They're all slab ganaches or slab pralines, which were enrobed. And then I was also given a small sampler box of chocolate covered fruit. So the chocolate covered orange peel and the chocolate covered ginger are very, very good. With the chocolate ginger, the texture of the ginger being some of the best that I have ever had. It's not particularly spicy, so it's not got a lot of ginger heat in it, right? But just the texture of the ginger itself and the thin chocolate coating, absolutely remarkable. As I say, probably some of the best chocolate covered ginger I've ever had. If you like chocolate covered ginger, definitely, definitely recommend it. Um, I also got a jar, a 240 ml jar, so way too heavy, way too big to bring in checked luggage or no, on carry on luggage of chestnut cream, marron crema. If you like chestnut and you like chestnut cream, this is a very well-made variety of it, the one from Chocolat. And we had some on a variety of cheeses, including a Comte, and it was a really, really good accompaniment. So if you're looking for something which is going to go on a cheese pairing board, or something like that. If you're looking for an alternative to some other confiture or something like that on breads, then I can recommend the marron. If you like chestnuts, you'll like this. And then finally, not finally, but I had an opportunity to go and spend some time with the U.S. marketing director of Royce Chocolates at their store on Bryant Park. Again, these are big boxes. There was no way I could fit them into my luggage. I got two samples of the Nama, and the Nama is their signature product. It is a an unsupported ganache. So if I'm doing a slab ganache and I'm serving slab ganache, usually there's at least a cheblon of chocolate on the bottom, or it's enrobed. And this is just a slab of ganache, which is cut, and then it will be covered top and bottom with cocoa powder or matcha powder, and the ganaches can also be flavored. What makes them unusual is that the Nama all use Hokkaido cream, so it's a specific variety of cattle. They're or fed on a specific diet, and there is something unusual about the cream. It's famous all over Japan, and these products, which are made on the island of Hokkaido, include this Hokkaido cream. Um, it is there's nothing to get in the way of the essential melting texture of the ganache. They're firm. You bite through them, they give away, and then they melt very quickly and very, very cleanly. Um, there are dark chocolate versions and there are milk chocolate versions, so you can choose whether and how sweet they will be based upon the chocolate that you're using. The only thing that didn't make sense to me about this is that one of the ingredients is artificial flavors, and I didn't know what that artificial flavor was, and it didn't occur. They were wrapped, and so I didn't have an opportunity to look at the bottom of the box, and I'll go find out what that is. But they also do many things to this is cherry season, so they have lots of things which are sakura flavored, and then they also do some chocolate covered coffee beans, which may be espresso beans, but if they are, they're a specialty bean with a lighter roast. So they're not, really, really heavily roasted like Italian roast or French roast espresso beans, and so they're much more delicate. Again, so if you like those, it's something to consider. But I would go and I would start off with the Nama. If you're look, it's an unusual presentation. You open up the box, you open up the inner packaging, you set it out, and it's just a slab of ganache which has been cut so you can put a toothpick in it and pick out the pieces one by one. So it's a great thing for sharing among people who love chocolate at a dinner table, or to put on onto. You could pull it apart carefully and put it onto a cheese platter or sure, something like that for a dessert platter. So it's a lovely idea, and it will go well with many, many other things on that cheese platter. Just to let you know, I also got a chance to speak with Mona Shangaris of Amore de Mona. I got a box of mixed. These are vegan. They're using no refined sugar, gluten-free, allergen-free, just really, really lovely products. Again, I got a chance to share with friends And Mona is now. I met her at the Big Chocolate Show for the first time in 2015. So we've celebrating a decade of meeting. I think I've only seen her at shows. And so this is, getting together again and having a chance to taste the products. Now, I did bring back a whole lot of chocolate with me. I mean, I did have room. I focused on things. So I have a set of, where are they? Where are they? Where are they? Oh, they're over here. Sorry, I'm reaching around. So I have a set of 5 bars from Baiani. Tuta Aquino was at the show. His wife, Juliana, was back in Brazil tending to business. So for almost everyone, what I did is I asked them, I want 4 bars. What I want you to do is I want you to give me your favorite. I want you to give me your bestseller, and then let's pick 2 others in order to round out. So I was given by Tuta this caipirinha bar, 65% dark chocolate flavored with caipirinha. A passion fruit crunch bar, again, 65%. Both of these are dark chocolate. I think Tuta said his favorite was this dark chocolate, 88%, using beans from Vale Potomuju, which is the farm that they own. It's, south of Itabuna, which is west of Ilhéus in southern Bahia. This bar won an Academy of Chocolate Bronze in 2020. So I also got 2 special bars from Tuta. Both of these are vintaged, and we'll talk with him about what exactly that means. Because it doesn't actually indicate what year these were vintage, but they're part of the vintage series. So chocolate au leche, 57%, so a high cocoa content milk chocolate, and a 70% chocolate intenso, so a dark chocolate. But those are these, I think he might have said 2018 or 2020, 2021, as part of the 50th anniversary celebration of what is now Vale Potomuju, but before then was the Fazenda Santarina. It has been in the family for a long time. So I'm looking forward to having both Tuta and Juliana on on an episode of Pod Safe Chocolate. We'll be doing an interview talking about chocolate in Brazil, and then we'll be tasting these 5 bars. So you keep track, right? If you want to get the notifications, you do need to be a premium member. For each one of the premium members, every time I post, I send you the post. You can either read it in your email or you can go to the website and read it. If you are just a regular member, I don't update you on every post for Pod Safe Chocolate. Now, another thing that I'm really looking forward to is I got a chance to spend some time talking with Warren Shu, who's the founder of Fuwan. And Fuwan, along with probably Fossa, but more so Fuwan, in my opinion, are responsible for putting Taiwan on the map. And so again, I do have 4 selections from him. 2 of them are interesting. I mean, so we have a Taiwan number 9 Pingdong, which is where the cocoa is grown, but this is a double fermented, and we'll talk about how he does that double fermented. It is a rustic or rough ground chocolate. Another bar which is fermented using beer yeast, so it's an ale style rough ground chocolate. I'm really interested in trying that. We have a new bar which is called Spring of Austranesia, and it's a honey fermented dark chocolate. But it's also mixed with so it's a 70% dark chocolate mixed with a white chocolate at 38%, which is flavored with ailanthus, prickly ash. So, I mean, this is the stuff that Warren and Fuwan are known for. And then I have some samples of a Ti Guanyin dark tea. And so, again, I'm going to schedule an episode of Pod Safe Chocolate with Warren, and we're going to be talking about those bars. So a tasting and an interview. So let's see. From Thailand, I had a chance to speak with one of the founders. Name escapes me at the moment. I'll have to go look it up. Of a company called Siamaya Chocolate. Right? And again, we're going to have an episode of Pod Safe Chocolate. There's a Thai tea bar, a Khao Sua Suri bar. A curry bar. with a recipe which is sourced to Chiang Mai, a mixture of Thai cocos in a signature dark, as well as a coconut curry bar. So we have a tom kha recipe as opposed to a Chiang Mai recipe. So really looking forward to that. Again, all of this stuff is really, really well made. I believe they have distribution in the United States. You can, I don't have it up here yet, but when I do the post, you'll see here's CMI right here, that when I do have the episode with them, I will be the tasting and interview episode. There will be a link and a discussion about where you can go purchase things. Um, a couple of bars, actually, a couple of bars and a couple of pouches from Inaru in the Dominican Republic. An orange and fennel bar. I love fennel. Hibiscus or Jamaica white chocolate bar. And again, I'm going to be having an interview and tasting with the people at Inaru in the near future. Two more, Via Quiaya from Ecuador. I've known Tanya Molina for at least a decade. These are all Ecuadorian chocolate, Ecuadorian cacao produced in Ecuador. They say their best selling bar is this Earl Grey lavender, but we have 100% Nacional, Arriba Nacional. So I'm looking forward to that. A habanero pink salt and a peppermint cinnamon. So lots of interesting flavors and lots of interesting interviews. And then finally, a box of samples from Conexion. Jenny Samaniego, the founder of Conexion, was there. And this one is, I mean, lots and lots and lots of different samples. I don't know how many we're going to get through, but it's going to be lovely to speak with Jenny. And we had this wonderful discussion about how our careers have intersected with each other and the people that we know mutually. And I think that we're going to have a lot of fun talking about how chocolate and connections and connectivity. So I think that's going to be a great deal of fun. So what I want to do now is jump over to another post. So for this one, I wanted to do a high level for this post, the post on today's episode. What I wanted to do a high level overview of what I did while I was there. So I went over what it is that I did on Thursday and pointed to a post that I did, then talked about who I visited. Monday, which was just cold and wet and miserable most of the day, I did a reconnaissance in and around Midtown. I do cover it in another post, but I give a quick overview of what I saw and then a Thursday walking tour. So that's there. So let's jump over to the other post and let's spend the rest of the time talking about this. So I have mentioned in the past a couple of things. First one of which is, compared with Paris or compared with Brussels, maybe even Amsterdam, Turin, other cities that I've been into in Europe, New York City is not really a great chocolate town. It is not one of the world's chocolate capitals. When I think about, going through, let me scroll down here. There's a lot of stuff on this post. So I think about, okay, posts. So I did a Google search, a DuckDuckGo search, and then I use another search engine called Perplexity. And I search for the same thing, best chocolate shops in New York City. And you'll find these are 3 posts which showed up on both lists. All 3 of the searches returned these. If you go and look at these lists, what you'll discover, number one, is even though these might have been published in 2025, there's a bunch of outdated information. And number 2 is that there's a lot of stuff you'll miss. So you need to do more. And one of the things that I wanted to do was A, go visit some places and find out if they were still open. And B, talk to people and find out if there were other places that I should go visit. And then I also wanted to see if I could string together some walking tours. New York is notorious. Again, I've said notorious. It has been difficult to say I've got a couple of hours, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to hit a couple of chocolate shops. And what I want to do is I want to stay away from the European imports. I don't necessarily, I've been to La Maison du Chocolat. I've been into a house. I've been into Leonidas. I've been. I don't need to do that again. Where can I go that's different, and where can I see sort of the variety, sort of the depth and breadth of what it is that is available, even if you don't find a chocolate shop on every corner. And you won't find a chocolate shop on every corner in Paris, but oh my gosh, There are so many more chocolate shops, and the level of work, is consistently quite high. And then I wanted to avoid not only the European stalwarts. I do mention them because, if you haven't, they're there. Um, they, you can go visit them, and they're on the itinerary of some places. But I also stayed away from, Hershey World and M&M's World and things like that. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense. I didn't want to, send people into Times Square for the craziness that is Times Square. And also, I personally think that something like Hershey World and M&M's World are okay if you've got a kid. But as an adult, if you're looking for, just, why would you do that when you can go every single one of those get every single one of those products at any convenience store anywhere near you? Other than if you want sort of the theme park environment, which is there. So on Thursday, I had the opportunity to go on to setup day at the salon, but I didn't. It ran from 11 until 5, and I didn't need to be there. I just wanted to introduce myself to some people and get an idea of what the layout was, so that on a Friday morning, I didn't have to do that orientation before the show began. So I do it on Thursday. I mean, it's a habit I picked up. It's something I've been doing for 30 years or longer. Is trying to go to the first day of a show, the setup day, get an exhibitor pass. Sometimes they'll let you in with a press pass. Sometimes you just walk in with a colleague, but it's always, if you have the opportunity, it's a good thing to do. But I had extra time, and so I was staying on the Upper East Side. I got a 6 train down to Union Square and walked around Union Square. And I figured once I'd done a quick walk around Union Square, I could then walk to Javits because I wanted the exercise. So I started off at Blue Stripes Cacao. This is what Oded Brenner did after he left Max Brenner. It's really important to know, I mean, that this location is not actually owned by Oded Brenner's group. This was where he set up the original concept, which very little change from 2018, I think, when he first set it up. Very little change physically, right? But what you won't do is you won't find any of the Blue Stripes branded cacao products in here because Blue Stripes has no control over what it is that they do there. Um, the single most interesting thing they are offering is, you can't see it here, is they have a nib refiner, and they will refine nibs and turn them into hot chocolate for you. They usually have 2 different nibs available at any one time. So if you got a day where hot chocolate makes sense, you're looking for something interesting, you're looking for something different, then this is an interesting thing to put on your list if you're down in the Union Square area. It feels more like now an NYU hangout. There's less other chocolate products in the shelving, and there seems to be more of an emphasis on the baked goods, many of which, so you can get a croissant, they'll put a hole in it and fill it full of Nutella. I mean, so there's a lot of that kind of stuff in here. So that's what Blue Stripes is. If you're interested in it, again, I think for me, the best thing to get is the hot chocolate. And just remember, this is not associated anymore with Blue Stripes Cacao, other than the name, different owners. Around the corner, so you walk across University to Broadway, turn left from 13th towards 14th, and you'll find Max Brenner. For me, this is the Rainforest Cafe of chocolate. It's like a restaurant theme park. It's more interesting if you're in the restaurant. If you were to take the chocolate out of the restaurant, it's not the product that it was, I think, 20 years ago when they first were introduced to the United States. They're now owned by Elite, which is a very large conglomerate I don't know if they're Israeli based. But if you're around that area, you're with small children, I mean preteens, and you want to have a fun time consuming chocolate, like a chocolate pizza, or you've got a little cup of hot chocolate with a tea candle underneath it to keep it warm, or they do syringes of Nutella or a Nutella-like substance. I mean, it's fun, right? For small kids. But the chocolate itself is and sometimes it can get very loud and distracting. But it is right around the corner literally 2 minutes from Blue Stripes Cacao. Now, the next place to go is the Cocoa Store. You walk through Union Square Park. You walk on the west edge, which is the university side, which turns into Broadway at the top of the park, which is 17th Street. My recommendation would be to, if you can, time this walk for a day where the Union Square Market is happening. So you can walk through the market and see what's available. Great pretzels, great cheese, great produce, great cheese. Did I say great cheese? There's a lot of stuff in the market. Even if you're staying in a hotel room and you're looking for something fresh that you can put together, something that's not necessarily need to be cooked, I would recommend walking through the market. But Cocoa Store is on the 6th floor. It's on Broadway between 18th and 19th Street. You'll see the sign out front. It is one of the two best sort of craft bean to bar chocolate selections in New York City. So if you're in the Union Square area and you want to see a selection of craft chocolates, go to the Cocoa Store. This is what the store looks like. It's in this loft. It is owned by the same person who's owned Cocoa Store for quite some time. She was Pepe Di Giacomo is her name. She was an importer of Amade for many years, which is how I met her. And I want to say mid 2000 aughts, maybe 2000, maybe late 2008 or something like that. So it's a great selection of bars. This table here is a table of bars which are about to meet their best buy, and so they might be slightly discounted, something to work at. So it's a great selection, and it's a different selection from other places that are selling craft chocolate bars. Also, the staff is very knowledgeable, and everything can be sampled. So even if it's a $20+ bar, there will be a sample for you. So that's a great thing you can do. They're also selling some hot chocolate that they're making. So it's a great store, and again, knowledgeable support. So I can recommend it as a part of this trip around Union Square. Although this is for me, the only destination in the Union Square area. I would go down to Union Square just for the Cocoa Store, whereas I wouldn't go down to Union Square just for Max Brenner or just for Blue Stripes Cacao. It just happened to be there, and I had the time, so I decided to go do that. Not far from this, if you walk north on Broadway, what you can do is you can find an outpost of Italy. It's at the corner of Madison. It's at Madison. It's at Madison Square Park, and it's the intersection of Broadway and Fifth. It's on the northeast corner. This is you could get lunch at Italy. It's very loud. It's very frenetic. So if you want that kind of thing, but there's also a reasonable selection of chocolate and confectionery, all of it from Italy. So there will be brands that you may not find in Cocoa Store. So that was, this is if you wanted, you could do it as a tour. You could do it as a walk, but for me, again, really the only destination here is Cocoa Store. And I personally would find, trying the logic, of trying to fit Cocoa Store, or not Cocoa Store, but Blue Stripes and Max Brenner and easily into this quite difficult. So, but if you're there for the market and you want to add chocolate to your market day, then hit Cocoa Store. It's great. If you want something which is a little less frenetic than the atmosphere inside of Italy, on 18th Street, right next to be where the original Cocoa Store was located, is a restaurant called Taralluce e Vino. Nice sit down Italian, right? Good food. Last time I was there. So that's where you could go. That's where you can go in and around the Union Square area and up Broadway. So this is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sent at the salon. Monday, I had a day free, and I wasn't really. I had one of the things that I wanted to do. One of the goals that I had was to go by places that I remember when I was living in New York City and find out if they're still there, and if they're still open, right? And so this is what Monday was mostly about. It really wasn't about going and engaging with the chocolatier and buying stuff. Unfortunately, it was a miserable day. Um, So raining, it was chilly, my feet got wet, not fun. So I was just pounding through it in order to get it done. Right. So again, living on the Upper East Side, I can take an express train from 86th Street down to Grand Central. And walking up Grand Central, there is a Jacques Therese, which is located in the West Side Passage. This is right at the entrance to Lexington Avenue, closest to 42nd Street for people who are familiar with the geography of New York City. West Side Passage. You can then enter into Grand Central Market right there. And what you'll do is you'll find this is the Lilac location. Now, Lilac was at the Salon du Chocolat. I wanted to confirm that they still had a location in Grand Central Market, and they had in fact moved closer to Lexington Avenue side and further away from the main hall side of the market. If you're looking, I mean, Lilac is hometown favorite. I mean, you're not going to find, cutting edge flavor combinations, and you're not going to find cutting edge decoration techniques. But if you're looking for really solid butter crunch, if you're looking for really solid turtles, if you're looking for just things that are going to put a smile on your face and remind you of when you were a kid and what you loved as a kid, I mean, Lilac is a great place to go. The factory or the main production facility, I don't know if 100% of the production is done there, is done in Industry City, and this is one of two stores that's in Manhattan. The other one's on Greenwich Avenue, right at 7th Avenue, I think. So in that neighborhood. So if you're in the West Village, that would be a place to go. But just it's the full selection, boxed varieties. You can pick individual pieces and make individual collections. I believe there's either by the piece or by the pound, and it's just if you're looking to buy a gift for someone under the age of 10, right? You can do no wrong, right? When it comes to going to Lilac, and if I grew up in Southern California, so I have some in the 60s and early 70s, and I have some favorite from C's, and so there are C's in New York City. But if you grew up and this is hometown childhood favorites, and it's really really well made, and you should consider if you're again in the Grand Central area. Across from Lilac and up a little bit is Murray's Cheese. It's difficult to see here, but there's not a huge selection. But these are the Francois Parlu. So this is Francois Parlu, and these bars here, which are their bar infernal, the milk chocolate with hazelnut paste and whole hazelnuts, might be my favorite candy bar in the world. They also do a dark chocolate with almonds, a pistachio bar, which predated. Well, it didn't have the phyllo inclusion, but the pistachio paste bar predated the current Dubai craze by at least a decade. They also do a nougat bar. You cannot go wrong. And this is one of the few places in Manhattan, Murray's Cheese, in Grand Central Market, where you can get the Parlu bars. Recommended. Now, Wildwood is a bean to bar company. They're here in the United States, so they have a selection of bar heres. And there's this new company that's showing up all over the place. My daughter in Pittsburgh sent me samples of it, called Philippe Beaulieu, and it looks like Philippe Beaulieu may be a real chocolatier or may not be a real chocolatier in France. It appears to be a company in Miami that's making this chocolate branded Philippe Beaulieu, and selling it here in the United States. So, but Grand Central Market, these are on the main concourse level. Jacques Therese, Lilac, and the chocolate counter at Murray's Cheese. Now you can go downstairs into the food court level. You'll find a Van Leuven ice cream. Junior's Cheesecake is no longer there, and there's been a huge turnover in terms of the number of not the numbers, but the brands and the types of food that are being sold downstairs in the food court. I mean, if you're waiting for a train, Metro North train, and you're hungry, go downstairs. There's some good coffee and some other things that you can get down there. There's also a Magnolia Bakery, known for its cupcakes and famous for its frosting. Magnolia Down is still there. So if you are at all worried about it, I also had the opportunity to go upstairs into the MetLife building, right just as you exited onto, I want to say 43rd Street, although it may be 44th Street. I'm not entirely sure. This location used to be a Godiva, maybe the flagship store in New York City. They closed down during COVID. Most of the stores were sold to Letterock. Letterock didn't buy this location for one reason or another. It's now a bagel place and a coffee place. So if you had memories of there being a Godiva store in the MetLife building, it's no longer there. Right. And so that's the early part of the first part of the tour, right in Grand Central. From there, I walked down 42nd Street and I went to see if Gabriel Kreuther was still there. Now, the restaurant is still there in the Grace Building. The restaurant is still there, but the standalone chocolate store is no longer there. It's now a juicery of one form or another. But if you want to, you can go into the restaurant when it's opened, and there is a small selection of chocolates at the front counter when you walk in, I suppose, at the check-in desk. And then if you want to go online, you can have the chocolates delivered to the restaurant so you can pick them up. But there is no retail location anymore, Gabriel Kreuther. But if you go to some of these websites that are listing the best chocolate shops in New York City, they'll list the chocolate store as still being open. So I wanted to make sure that it was or it wasn't. I remember going there, let's see, summer of 2019 during the Fancy Food Show. Had a chance to sit down with Alejandro Campos of Walter Chocolates, in Villahermosa in Tabasco, Mexico. We met there. So I know that it was there, but COVID times, things have changed. So it's important to do ground truth, and you can't just rely on um, listicles that have been created and published, even if the source is a relatively reputable one, like Time Out or some other publication like that. So I started there. From there, I walk across Bryant Park to see the Royce location. It's covered in scaffolding. There's no good picture that you can see. And then around the corner on 6th Avenue, just south of 40th Street, is Angelina. So this is the front of Angelina. You can see how wet it was. It was raining. I'm trying to look here at the menu. If you want, you can go look at this. You'll find that the pre-fee brunch menu is $55 a person, which struck me as more than I wanted to spend for brunch. But I did take a look, and there was the old chocolate, the hot chocolate, and one signature pastry were $25. So I have had Angelina in Paris. If you have an opportunity, you're going to Paris, you've never had Angelina, I would recommend the experience. It's right across from the Louvre. So you can go to the Louvre and then go to Angelina, or go to Angelina, then go to Louvre. If you have Paris on your itinerary, I would definitely hit Paris rather than getting here. But if you want to try this famous hot chocolate, because it is a famous hot chocolate, and something that characterizes it is the way it is served to you. So it is a production. It's not just a mug of hot chocolate. But again, if you're in the Grand Central area, right, you have Jacques Therese, Lilac, you have Murray's Cheese. Depending on the time of the day, you could walk in, Gabriel Kreuther. You do have the Royce chocolates that are right there. You could get the Nama chocolate and then walk around the corner to Angelina, where you might have lunch. Or if it's a cold day, you get hot chocolate. So there is a sort of mini tour that can be done. From there, what you do is you walk up Fifth Avenue, right? Not Sixth Avenue. You walk up Fifth Avenue, and between 43rd and 44th Street on the east side of the street. By the way, I'm thinking about it. Italy is on the northwest corner, not the northeast corner of Fifth and 14th, or Fifth and 23rd. But Letterac, my personal opinion is, if you're going to go to Letterac, go in for their frisch shogi. I think it's the best thing they do. They do have some single origin chocolates. You can go and try them. They're Swiss made, so they are typically Swiss, as opposed to something which was made in America, which is going to be usually more aggressive in terms of its flavoring. But all of the chocolate that's used in all of the Letterac products are made by Letterac. And they do have some other things which will appeal. So the frisch shogi is good for people of all ages. They've got milk, they've got white, they've got dark, they've got nuts, they've got fruit, all sorts of things. There is a bonbon case towards the back. I find them to be uninspired. Right? I think there are better choices to purchase bonbons than the Letterac ones, but they do have, chocolate covered popcorn or caramelized popcorn. They do have things which are good for kids. So if you're looking for an upscale chocolate shop to take kids into, you're looking for something perhaps a little more sophisticated than what you found at Lilac, this would be a real good place to consider. Now, the next thing I visited, I didn't get a photo. Well, no, I take that back. I did get photos. So this is the La Maison du Chocolat. So this is in 30 Rock. So when you see the you won't see this. If you go up 6th Avenue, you'll see this. The Radio City Music Hall. You walk in, and it's on one of the internal plazas. Again, if you're in New York, let's focus on American producers, not European producers. But this is well made. Again, they do have macarons. They do have chocolates. You can get hot chocolate. There are baked items. But if you're going to want to try La Maison du Chocolat and you're going to Paris, go in Paris, right? It will be better in part because you're in Paris, right? And I think it's generally fresher product. Um, that's my experience. But if you are not going to Paris and if you're looking for probably one of the best known, chocolatiers in France, then La Maison au Chocolat, founded by Robert Lanx in the 1970s. It's been around for a while. Currently owned by Valrhona, which is part of Groupe Savencia, formerly the Bongrand Group, where the Bongrand family owned it. It's got a fabulous history, and if you're going to be in 30 Rock because you're going to a taping or you've got lunch or you're going to go ice skating because it's winter and you're looking for chocolate, this is one of two places to go. The other place is Teuscher. This is obviously it's in Rockefeller Center. This is right at Fifth Avenue, across from Saks, I believe, Fifth Avenue. It's closed. It doesn't open until 11 o'clock or so. And so this is early in the morning that I'm doing this. They were closed. I don't get champagne truffles. Why would I want to have a ganache, enrobe it in chocolate and then roll it in crunchy sugar? I don't get it. Many people love them. It is the signature dish. If you're interested in a Swiss brand, because, like La Maison du Chocolat, which is a French brand, maybe Neuhaus, somebody like that. Oh, by the way, there is a Neuhaus in Grand Central that I forgot to mention. So you go up, and it's at the corner of 42nd and Vanderbilt at street level. So if there is a Neuhaus, if you want it, everything was Easter themed. When I walked by, I've been to Neuhaus in Belgium. I don't need to go to Neuhaus in New York City. It is there. I did forget to mention it. I'll make sure that it's in the write-up of this. I don't know if I forgot it or not. But this is Teuscher. And now you're back on Fifth Avenue, and you're in the mid 50s. And so this is a nice, interesting collection of things to go. Now, if you really want to push it, you can head up the street and go to the Maxime Frederick at Louis Vuitton boutique on the fourth floor. It's not in the building, which is decorated to look like Louis Vuitton luggage. It's on 57th between 5th and Madison. It's on the south side of the street. There is a store there which has the cafe, which I believe is on the 5th floor. But if you walk in and go to the 4th floor, you have the Maxime Frederick Chocolate Boutique, or Chocolate by Maxime Frederick at Louis Vuitton. Not entirely sure how it's branded. The stuff looks ordinary. Some of it is just solid chocolate plaques in molds with touristy New York scenes. Don't understand that. There are some bonbons which have the LV logo on them, but they're, again, uninspired, shiny, maybe some luster dust on them. But my feeling about the chocolates, expensive chocolates for what they are, is that the reason why you'd get these is because, oh, you or somebody you're gifting really loves Louis Vuitton as a brand. Otherwise, I mean, there you can get better chocolates, better looking chocolates, better tasting chocolates, fresher chocolates at lots of different places in New York City. But if you are interested in the Louis Vuitton brand, then that's something to consider. So that's where I'm done. Let me see if I mentioned Neuhaus. I don't think I did. I will add it to make sure that it is done. So that is that is what I got done on Monday in the rain. Um, on Thursday, the walking tour. I wanted to see about creating an actual walking tour in New York City, in a neighborhood. And I wanted to see if I could get something done under maybe 2 hours. And they were stores that I would want to walk into, talk with people, and purchase things. Right. So this was the goal. I'm a real walking tour where the goal was to walk into stores, and engage. And this is the walking tour that I put together. So the first stop is Ronnie Sue's Chocolate. So take the 6th train to Spring Street, walk over to Forsyth Street. The address is here. The website is here if you want to know more. So the street address is here. The website is here. I've known Rhonda Cave since 2007. She bought a really important bit of kit from me in 2008 that's still running, which I think is really, really cool. It's an Aeronox chocolate crystallization cabinet. So this is sort of upscale hometown favorite. I mean, the work is very well done. The flavors are clean and clear. They're interesting flavor combinations. They're mostly hand rolled. As I recall, she was one of the first people to do chocolate covered bacon. She does a wonderful caramelized popcorn. So it's a good place to start, just to, this is solid, basic hometown chocolate. There is some fancy aspects to it and the flavoring kind of stuff, but it's just a warm place to start first thing in the morning. Open at noon. So that's something to consider, is they are open at noon. There are some places that are open a little bit earlier, but I would start here. And if anybody knows a good breakfast spot around here, let me know, and I'll add it into the link. I've been talking to people about that. But start at Ronnie Sue. All right, there's a lot of stuff to buy, and it's really intriguing. So here are some of the non-bar things she does, right? And there's a rotating seasonal selection, so I can recommend it. And here's what the case looks like. So you can see it is not highly airbrushed. It's not highly airbrushed shell molds. So from Ronnie Sue, it's about a 7-minute walk. You walk south to Delancey, it turns into Kenmare after you head west, and you're going to Stick With Me Sweets on Mott Street. This is what the doorway front entrance looks like, and this is what the inside looks like. Now, Susanna Yoon, who's the founder of this, was in the pastry department. I believe she was the exec pastry chef at Thomas Keller's Per Se, and then she left and opened this. She's known for very, very bright, almost mirror finish, airbrushed work, shell molded bonbons, right? With flavor combinations, many of which reflect New York themes. Wonderful packaging. There are no bad selections here. I mean, she does brilliant work. She's got a great flavor sensibility. You walk in here, get a piece for yourself, and the packaging is lovely as well. So it's great for gifting. The staff is knowledgeable. The staff is friendly. When she started out, all of the production was done in the back through that door. It was a really, really tiny place. It is a favorite. I walked in, and then shortly after I walked in, there were like half a dozen other people. It is a popular place to go, right? So this is Stick With Me Sweets. Walk in, get some stuff, take it back to the hotel, wherever you are, maybe enjoy it right there, have an interaction with the people behind the counter. Really, really nice. So once you get done with Stick With Me Sweets, about a 3-minute walk away, maybe 4-minute walk away, you go up Mott Street towards Prince, up Mott Street towards Spring, take that back, and then head west, and then turn right 1 block later on Mulberry Street. And to think that you saw it on Mulberry Street is the Meadow. The Meadow is one of the OG craft chocolate bar stores in New York City, but they're also known for, let's get there. Oh, I didn't keep it. They also are known for gourmet salts, cocktail bitters, and flowers. A good selection of craft chocolate bars. It's on this side. You've got salts and other things here. Lots of stuff. And a knowledgeable person behind the counter. It's always been the case. Every time I've walked in, and I've been going to the Meadows since they first opened in the West Village. That is no longer open at the moment. Mm. So if anybody says the store is on Hudson around 10th Street, it's not there, right? You want to come to um, this is Nolita, I think maybe technically what the neighborhood is. Um, but great selection of things. And one of the things that I love about the Meadow is this is sort of a one-stop gifting. If you wanted to get a chocolate lover like a sophisticated gift gifting range, which just was a bar of chocolate, you can get a bar of chocolate, maybe a little bonbon, get a little cocktail bitter, get some gourmet salt. All of these things can be themed together, which is really, really cool. You can talk about tasting elements that are associated with them, and then maybe some flowers. Great place to go, right? And what's interesting is that from Ronnie Sue to Stick With Me to the Meadow, the walk is under 10 minutes. The total walking time is under 11 minutes, right? So it's an easy thing to do. From here, what you're going to want to do is go back down to Spring Street, head west. You're going to cross over Broadway until you get to West Broadway, right? And you're going to go to the shop, this called it's Thierry, Thierry Thierry Atlan. Right now, I asked about it, and they were associated with a previous outpost in New York City called Sugar and Plum, if I recall correctly. But you walk in, this is just south of Houston Street. You walk in, this is the store, very, very simple. From this angle, what you can't see, is that they're selling sorbets and gelatos. They have bonbons and they have macarons, right? And then you turn around and you can see there's some confectionery items and some bars. They're not making chocolate; they're melting. I didn't ask whose chocolate it was, um, but here is the selection of gelatos to stay. Not the best merchandise, and sorbets, but there's some wonderful flavors in there. Here's what the bonbon selection looks like. So we have some shell molds. They are not super high shiny, and they're using an airbrush technique, which is not quite splatter, but you can see that they're not trying to emulate the technique that Stick With Me uses. But then we have these slabbed ganaches and slab pralines, which are enrobed and then decorated. I didn't try any of the cold items. I did get the fresh mint, one of these. Fresh mint, it's notoriously difficult to do well. Mint is difficult to do well. I only like fresh mint. I don't like flavored mint products. But there's a slight bitterness which is associated with infusing and muddling the mint leaves. You want that underlying bitterness because it provides some complexity into the product. That's the only one I had. It was a good choice, extremely well made, thin slab of ganache, thin enrobing, just technically extremely well done. Next to that is the selection of macarons. I did speak with a person behind the counter. I ended up getting here's a box selection of bonbon. Here's a box selection of macaron. What I did is I asked for two macaron and from the list. Um, these just happen to be both vegan, so no dairy. But the one on the left is lemon, and the one on the right is violet cassis. And as far as I'm concerned, the consistency of the biscuit on both sides of this is just absolutely perfect. So it's a little bit of crispy, and then you bite through it, and then it starts resisting, and it's chewy, and it's one of the great little desserts. You choose between a small cupcake and a small macaron. I would take a small macaron every time. The lemon, it's bright and clear. It's definitely lemon. I would guess that it was a natural lemon. But what's interesting is that the fade flavor on this, the long finish on this, is actually the almond of the macaron, the almond flour used for the macaron. So it goes from this bright citrusy flavored, and it fades into this um, toasty, warm, nutty note in the long finish. So it's it was really nicely composed, that set of flavors. Now, one thing you do have to be careful about is if you walk in, these are in cases. And so the temperature here is set to somewhere between 57 and 60 degrees Fahrenheit. You want to take them out and wait for them to warm up to room temperature. If you will not get the full experience if you just take them out of the case and go to eat them. right? And the one on the right is a violet cassis or blackcurrant. Blackcurrant is another flavor, which is a challenge. Number one is, what is black currants? What do black currant taste like? How are black currants different from red currants, different from other fruits like that? Difficult for many people to know. But this was a really, really good representation of the black currant. Again, the biscuit is just perfect texture as far as that I'm concerned. And then what was very interesting about this, after sort of the clarity and the cleanliness of the cassis flavor, that the finish on this wasn't the almond. The finish on this was the violet. So it goes to this interesting, top of the mouth into the nose floral thing, which is, violet, like rose, can sometimes get too floral, too soapy. This didn't verge into that. And it was really, really, really quite lovely. I mean, if you are looking for macaron, there are other places to get macaron in New York City, right? Some favorite famous French names. La Maison de Chocolat is one. I think there's a La Durée in New York City. I would bypass all of those, right, and look for Thierry Atlan. These macarons were as good as they get, as far as I'm concerned. Now, one thing to consider is you're walking down Spring Street there, and you have a little bit more time. You'll be walking past the location where the Vosges store was. It no longer is. There is a Neuhaus, Spring Street, right at the corner of West Broadway. But if you're getting a little tired, because the walk from the Meadow to Thierry Atlan's about 8 to 12 minutes, depending on if you walk down Houston Street or you walk down Spring. I recommend walking down Spring. It's a much more pleasant walk than Houston is. A lot less traffic. But while you're in the neighborhood, if you're looking for a really good hot chocolate, they serve coffee at Thierry Atlan. I didn't try I don't know if they serve hot chocolate, but you have Mary Bell down on Broome Street. So you could easily take a left on Green Street, head down to Broome Street, make a right on Broome. Mary Bell is going to be, I think it's between, well, maybe you have to turn down Mercer. I don't remember exactly. But if you want a hot chocolate and you want to sit down, definitely Mary Bell. You can add Mary Bell quite easily to the list. I didn't do it, which is not why it's not on the list. I didn't stop by, but it's an easy thing to add, right? And depending on the day, depending on the temperature, Mary Bell, if Jacques Therese is the king of chocolate in New York City, then Mary Bell is the queen. Right, she does beautiful work. The branding is amazing. The transfers, mostly slab ganaches with brightly colored, whimsical transfers on them. Good work, right? Can't get but I've been there many, many times, and so I did not add them to that list. And I knew that I was going to be constrained for time, because from here I went up to Chocolat Moderne. So I've known Jones since she opened the business in 2003. I may have visited this location. She's been in this location for over 20 years. It's on the 9th floor of 27 West 20th. This is the sign on the street. You walk up to the 9th floor. You walk in. This is the original room. I mean, all of the production is still being done in this room. But when she started out, all of the production, all of the sales, all of the packaging, all of the everything was done in this loft unit. It's still there. On the left is the case where you can buy things. Here is there's a piece of there's a guide, a catalog of all the flavors that are available. In addition to the bonbon, which most of them are 3D molded and decorated with transfers. Some of them have Greek-inspired flavors. She's using exclusively Valrhona, as I remember. I mean, this, and the packaging is beautiful. The pieces are very, very well made. Whether you're gifting yourself or you're gifting a friend, you cannot go wrong with picking anything. They also have some fabulous chocolate bars. They make some chocolate bars. I tried one, which was a spiced hazelnut praline bar in dark chocolate. Just a really, really well balanced bar. It got consumed more when I sat down and opened it with friends, which is why I don't have it here. But it is a modest and unprepossessing, location because you can look in and you can watch them work and make stuff. And there aren't a whole lot of confectioneries. You can do that, Lilac. There aren't a whole other places in New York City where you can do that. Right? And so, but here is this, here is this, here is this walk that you can do. So you can start off at Ronnie Sue. A couple of minutes later, you're at Stick With Me Sweets. Just a few minutes after that, you're up at the Meadow. Walk across town. Maybe you go to Mary Bell. Maybe you don't. But then you have Thierry Atlan. It's about a 8 to 15-minute walk, depending on how you go. From there, the longest walk of the day is from at West Broadway at Houston. You walk across, you cross Houston, you're on LaGuardia Place, you're now in NYU territory. You walk up LaGuardia Place to Washington Square Park. This is Washington Square Park. You walk through Washington Square Park. You through the arch, and you're on Lower Fifth Avenue at 8th Street. Walk up 8th Street to 20th Street, hang a left, and in mid-block, you've got 27th and 20th, and you've got Chocolat Moderne. And so this is, you can easily do it in under 2 hours, unless you really sit down and spend a lot of time having hot chocolate, or you really do get engaged in conversation. I took 3-ish to do this. I had an appointment in Bryant Square that I needed to get to, so I was sort of rushing to do things. But I did this entire thing in about 3 hours. If you really thought about it, if you wanted to, you could maybe change it around a little bit. Start with the Meadow, which I think is open at 11. Go to the Meadow, Stick With Me, then to Ronnie Sue. It's a little longer in terms of the walk, but she doesn't open until 12. So you could start at 11, get this under your way, be done. There's like 2 good pizza places along this route. One is called Lombardi's. It's on the corner of Spring and Mott. And then you have Arturo's, which is at the corner of Thompson and I forget, but it is along it is along your route. Oh, it's at Houston. It's at Thompson and Houston. So there are some really, really wonderful pizza places along the road if you wanted to stop and do that. There are other places in this neighborhood. But when you get done with Chocolat Moderne, what you can do is walk up to the corner of 23rd and 6th, get the subway to 6th and 40th Street. And so you're right there at the corner. And then you have Angelina, Royce. And from there, it's just a couple of minute walk over to Grand Central, where you can do other things. So you could put this together in terms of a 2-part walk. So, one part starting in the morning and one part after lunch. And you'll have great exercise because you got to walk off all the calories associated with all the chocolate that you've been eating along the way. And this is my experience with chocolate in New York City. I do want to say again that you do have to be careful about when you go look at these stories, is you're not going to necessarily find all of the places that would qualify as best chocolate shops. And there's some great chocolate makers who don't have retail. So Keys Chocolate don't have a real location, they'll deliver, right? And maybe you can go pick up, but there's no store where you can go to. So they're not listed because they don't have a shop. So, but Keys, Passion Fruit Chocolate Hearts, like, yeah, really, really good. And she's a lovely person. She was originally down on Thompson Street in Soho. Just lovely work, lovely person. But if you look at these 3 things, you won't find, among other things, Chelsea Market Baskets. So Chelsea Market Baskets is really West Village. It's between 9th Avenue and 10th Avenue and 15th and 16th Street. It's across from Google headquarters, if that's where you are. It's just north of the meatpacking districts, so if you're in that area, it would be some place to consider. Confections and bonbons. But there is down in the South Street Seaport. So there is down in South Street Seaport this place called the Spoiled Parrot, which is in the Tin Building, which is a project which was put together by Jean-Georges Vongerichten. So there's a mix of food and other retail. But apparently the Spoiled Parrot has this huge selection of chocolate bars and candy and confectionery. So If you're in the South Street Seaport area, there's lots to do down there. I tend not to go there unless I'm have an out of town friend or friends who are visiting, or I'm with a younger person, because that's my memory. I used to live down there a long time ago, and so my memory of the seaport is very much influenced by it. It's not the first place I think about going when I do stuff. It is a fairly long way down, whether you take a train to Fulton Street or someplace else. Although it is not that far a walk from the south end of Chinatown. So if you're at Mott Street and Doyers or something like that in Chinatown, it's a relatively easy walk into the South Street Seaport. So consider that. But none of these, none of none of these um, posts and other posts which showed up in these searches mentioned spoiled parrot. And if you could think of one place and you're looking for a broad selection of candies and confections and chocolate bars, this might be a place to consider, especially if you're in that part of town already. But I learned about this too late to add it into my itinerary. I just didn't have enough time to get on the train, go down there, and see what it was about. But if you do go there, or if you know any other place in New York City that you think should have been added, and again, this is just sort of Midtown. It's sort of Soho and east of Soho. I mean, this is just two neighborhoods, but I knew that what I was going to be able to do was to be able to put together some compelling walking tours if you're interested in New York City. I didn't have the time to cross over the river into Brooklyn or into Queens. I didn't look for anything above 59th Street. I mean, so there is more to do in chocolate than you might consider, but it is very neighborhood oriented, very, very much destination oriented. And the same thing is true, when I think about it, the same thing is true of Paris. I mean, you think about the left bank and being in the 6th and 7th, and what's around the Boulevard Saint-Germain and the Place de, the church and fountain at Saint-Sulpice. I mean, that's a wonderful area to get in a very, very short walk, a lot of different places to go visit. You can do a similar kind of thing on the right bank around around the Louvre. But if you have an extended walk, if you're willing to walk and get on the metro and do a couple of short stops here and there, I mean, there's a lot to see in a really, really interesting way in chocolate. But the number one rule I want to leave you with as we end, before I say thank you to all the members of the Chocolate Life who are the sponsors of this episode, no, I'm going to do that first, is that you need to do your due diligence before you go. If you looked at the search results and you said, "Oh, I want to go visit Gabriel Kreuther," and you made a special effort to get there because you weren't going anywhere near Bryant Square Park, you would be disappointed, right? I looked at, for example, the Cocoa Store listing, and it said it was closed on Monday when I looked at it, and it's not closed on Monday. It's open on Monday. And so you do want to make sure that you don't necessarily rely on social media postings or even in the Google Maps where you look at things, right? They may get that information wrong. There's usually a website link. Click on the website link. If you're not certain, give them a call. Make sure that they're open when they say they're open, and you can go by there, and you're not gonna be disappointed because you don't have enough time to wait until they are open, or you need to rearrange what it is that you're doing. So this is the same no matter where you go. I mean, in New York City, it's an obvious thing. If you have a lot of driving to do, I mean, I wouldn't try to do anything like this in Los Angeles. I don't know that I could do this in Chicago or Washington, D.C. I might be able, I don't even know if I could do it. I mean, New York might be the best city in the United States for doing this, but you do need to be careful. But again, compared with Brussels, I did a recent walk around in Brussels in October, and I shared my itinerary for that day. Brussels is an easy city. Obviously, Paris, um, Turin turns out to be a great city for doing this, but it's really important that you go and check before you start your day or before you make your trip. Because when I was in New York, I had a friend of mine from Larchmont, who was in Madrid, and Howie and he's always traveling all over the place and asking me where he can get the best chocolate here and there. And I did a bunch of things from memory that I knew were in Madrid. And he got back to me and said, no, this one's closed, this one's closed, this one's closed, this one's closed. So, it requires a lot of work to stay on top of this, but it's well worth the effort. Walk in, give yourself an opportunity. Again, focus on local stuff. If you're in Turin, why go to a new house, right? Go to Guido Gobino, go to Guido Castagna, go to the Porta Palazzo market, hit Gerla, go to the Piazza della Consolata and sit down and get an original in a beacherine, in the place where the beacherine was invented. Do local. Find the people who are doing the work where you are, not the stuff that you can get anywhere else and the stuff you can get back home. And so for me, this trip in New York City was it was a lot of fun. I got a chance to talk with a lot of old friends at the salon and at the stores. I got a chance to meet a bunch of new friends, right? I got a chance to speak with colleagues. I got a chance to taste a lot of really, really good chocolate. I gave myself the time and the permission to do it, just to have fun, focus on it, and say, oh, I'm walking from here to here. I'm walking by someplace. Oh, I can walk from Soho up to Chelsea, and I can walk through Washington Square Park, and I can see the arch. I mean, you can sightsee by going from chocolate destination to chocolate destination. I wasn't necessarily looking for La Maison du Chocolat. I realized as I was walking up 6th Avenue and I saw Radio City, I go, oh yeah, there used to be a La Maison du Chocolat in here. And at one point there was a Jacques Therese in there, which is no longer there. But I'm walking and I'm looking for chocolate, and then boom, oh, here's an interesting bit of New York City tourism history. So it's a great way to think about organizing a trip of your favorite places to go and visit. And with that, I'm over time. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. Um, and let me know if you've been to New York City and you think there are some places that I've missed. Let me know about them in the comments, whether it's on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, or if you're a member, you can post in the comments on today's post. Let me know if you've got a good breakfast joint, a good lunch stop, some other sort of food recommendation along the routes that I put together. Let me know if you think there's some other destination that some other country, other city in the world that I could do this for. The next time I'm there, let me know, and I will organize a walking tour of that city, and maybe you can join me. That I think would be a lot of fun. And with that, I'm done. This coming Friday, we're going to be talking about cocoa grading from A to F, or however it is we do about it. How do people go about grading cocoa? That's going to be the subject of this coming Fridays, which is what? Second, third, fourth, the 4th of April. Today's April Fool's Day. Happy April Fools, everybody. There's no fools here. And with that, I want to remind everybody, if you're working with chocolate and you're not having fun, maybe you're doing it wrong and you need to reevaluate your life choices. But until the next time, everybody, ciao.